Okay. I am calling this meeting to order, 7:30. The Board of Trustees is meeting virtually tonight under the exceptions to the Open Meetings Act on the basis of Governor Pritzker's executive orders concerning the COVID emergency. And my determination as village president that it is not practical or prudent to meet in person at this time. Accordingly, this meeting is being conducted virtually with board members participating through the Zoom platform. A village official is present at the village hall during this meeting as required by the Open Meetings Act. That would be me. Public comment may be emailed to the village at the web address shown in the agenda. Oh, 1 minute. This is recording. This meeting is recorded, and no use of the chat function should be made because that would not be captured on the audio recording. So with that, I'll ask that the roll call be taken.
Trustee Clayton,
Here.
trustee Dickon,
Here.
trustee Eastman,
Here.
trustee Haber,
Here.
trustee Hollander,
Here.
trustee Jamerson,
Here.
President Ford.
Here. Before we go forward, I think we ought to take a minute to reflect on the world events and the sadness in Ukraine and the aggression of Russia. And with gratitude, conduct our meeting with the freedom to air our differences and in a country that allows us to do so. I know we all support the cause of freedom and the democracy that Ukraine enjoys. So with that, please remember our fellow people, our fellow humans in Europe tonight. With that, I'll move on to the approval of the minutes of February 15th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions or suggestions for the minutes? Hearing none and seeing none. Roll call, please.
Trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickon,
Aye.
trustee Eastman,
Aye.
trustee Haber,
Aye.
trustee Hollander,
Aye.
trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Okay, next item of business is the approval of bills. And I hope you all, in addition to the council report in the packet, there was an additional late entry that I passed around today. Do I have a motion for the approval of bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Trustee Jamerson, please.
I just have a question about the one that you sent out today.
Okay,
Can you tell us what that's for?
I can. In fact, I'm going to ask our village engineer, Carissa, where are you? It's for advanced automation and controls.
Right, so along with that and HBK, and I believe there's 1/3 other invoice that we get regarding the meters. So it's kind of a collection of that continuously work on it. So I'm just getting into it because it's just all of a sudden got sent to me within the last month, and they're like, oh, you have to pass this along to the village. I'm like, okay, so something I'm definitely diving my feet into, but it's all about operations and it's all for the meters.
Oh, okay, so it's for the water.
Water meter swap out project, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. Roll call, please.
Trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickon,
Aye.
trustee Eastman,
Aye.
trustee Haber,
Aye.
trustee Hollander,
Aye.
trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Those are approved. The Treasurer and Finance Committee report. Do you have a report, Trustee Clayton?
No, other than what's on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Director of Community Services report. Russ?
I don't know why is my video on?
No.
I've got the thing, I keep hitting the camera and the X, the slash mark's gone, but it's not coming on for some reason.
I think you got to turn the lights on in the basement there, Russ.
Oh, no, I started to stay in the dark. Better that way.
Good one.
Well, anyhow, I'm gonna go forward. We'll see. Something's wrong. I don't know what the heck it is right now. Okay, first thing I have on my list is the hazardous tree report. Lucas gave me an updated list. He now has completed 38 people. He has 20 to go. And he said probably by the middle of this month, if the weather holds out, he'll be all caught up and done and be ready to move on, hopefully with some more people. So he already picked up 2 people that called last week. So that's where that stands at this point in time. Along with that, last week, he had given us a bid for the tree removals on the village property and the right of ways. And you wanted me to go get 2 more bids. So I went out and did that. I had Barrett and I had Davy Tree. And let's see, Davy Tree came in at $68,000 and Barrett came in at $58,000. And we go back to the bid that Lucas gave us of $21,710. There's such a disparity on these things. I don't know what it is, but they all went off of the same information, the same printout sheet. So I think, and that was the way it was when I first got the bids also for the hazardous tree removal. I mean, there was just that much of a difference between the 3 of them. So at this time, I would think that we should go forward with Lucas because he said that once he gets this other stuff done, that he will jump on the village hall trees then and right-of-way trees.
Would
So-
someone like to make a motion to approve the bid from Lucas?
Sure, I'll do it. And I appreciate you going out for those. I was the one who asked for that at the last meeting and I find
No
out,
problem.
I find it hard to believe that the numbers are that far apart. I hope Lucas makes some money on the deal.
But you know what? I agree with you. I would love to get all 3 of them in a room and see why, but I said the same thing when we had the hazardous tree bid and we went out to get the first bids and he was that much lower than the other 2. So I don't know how they're doing it or what. They
Volume.
must be making money.
Is there a second to Trustee Jamerson's motion?
I'll
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Sorry about that. Trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickin,
Aye.
trustee Eastman,
Aye.
trustee Haber,
Aye.
trustee Hollander,
Aye.
and trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And the last items I got was, I did get back to the Park District with the log cabins. I said, no, thank you. And they said, okay, they were glad that I got back to them because they had a couple other people in the wings waiting. So they'll move forward on that. And the last one is 1400 Saunders Road with the land donation here. We had a meeting with Mr. Zimmerman last week. And after much talking, he said that the quality wetlands that were there, his recommendation was not to touch them, not to do anything with them. He said they're fine the way they are. They'll probably be self-sustaining. The only thing he said was that if the gentleman that owned the property before he gave it wanted to go in there and trim the dead trees out, said there were numerous dead trees and sticks in there. He'd clean that up. He said that's about the only thing he'd like done. I got back to the gentleman, Neo Fortunato, who was in the one that's been looking at the property. And he said he would be more than glad to take all the dead trees down because he don't want to look at them either. So where it stands right now is that he's looking forward. It won't be 5 acres a lot. It'll probably be somewhere around 3 acres that he'll be turning in. While layouts, he could build up to 3 homes. One would be awfully small, but the other 2 would be all right. But that's his goal at this point in time. And Steve thought that the land, he said, because it's a quality wetland over there, he said that, making sure that it's safe and stays that way would be a good idea. So back in your guys' hands.
Basically, it's a 10-acre property with the 2-acre zoning. And so getting 3 buildable lots, even if one of them is a small pad, is quite feasible. And the rest of the site, despite whatever our subdivision code says, the rest of the site is just probably not very touchable because of the wetlands. So the general idea is to have the number of buildable lots that you can have. And then I think the rest of the site would just be like an outlot for the rest of the subdivision.
As Steve did, if I could add, Steve did do some, a little bit on what it would cost us if we wanted to maintain it. Although he said it's not of in a situation, or it's not of a quality that we would need to maintain it. The bid we had for maintaining it over the next 3 to 5 years is almost $60,000. So, but he did not feel it was worth it. Trustee Jamerson.
So I guess the question is, first of all, I'm still leaning against this. But the question that I have is, if we don't take the donation of this piece of property, for which the owner will probably get a tax benefit, I'm guessing, he's not going to be able to do anything with it anyways, and the maintenance of it is going to be his responsibility. Now, he's not going to probably maintain it the way the village would maintain it, but I'm not excited about having a parcel, a 4-acre parcel that's not contiguous to anything that we already have, that's going to cost us $60,000 over the next 4 years.
No.
Yeah, I want to be clear about that. He recommended we do not maintain
Right.
it. We just leave it.
He said it's been, it's been there for 25 years that I know that it's been there. No one's ever touched it. He said it's a quality wetland itself. It's been self-sustaining. He said he really doesn't see any need to spend any money in there.
Well,
When you say he, you're talking about Steve Zimmerman?
Yes,
Steve said,
Yeah. I mean, just as Rick, just to point out that if we approve a subdivision for this, we would impose restrictive covenants. We do that with these kind of properties. There would be some reference in the plat. So whether the village had any control of the site or not, the site would be regulated.
right.
Trustee Haber, I think you had your hand up there for a minute.
Yeah, so that was my comment. I was just gonna say to Bruce, isn't it feasible that as part of the subdivision plat, we're gonna impose restrictions on the wetlands regardless? So part of those restrictions can be that those homes that are built on that property would be responsible for the maintenance of that of the wetlands.
Yes.
So why would we do it? I don't see any upside to this at all.
I don't see an upside to the village either. So I just don't, I'm not for it at all.
Well, I guess we have to wait and see if he comes forward with a building permit or something. Henry Hollander? Trustee Hollander?
Maybe the trustee Jamerson and Haber can explain what's the downside.
From my side, I don't see why the village should take on a parcel, whether there's current need for maintenance or not, when the parcel is not going to be able to be built upon anyways. He's not going to be able to fill in the wetlands even if he wanted to. And I just don't see an upside, and I see there could be possible downsides to it. I don't see people flocking there to look at the wetlands. We don't have any place to park other than on the side of Saunders or a private street. I don't see the upside.
And I think there's potential for liability issues as well. Someone's there on the site, slips and falls and sues the village. I mean, it's a long shot, but it's a possibility. There's no benefit to the community other than the ownership of some parcel that you're not going to be able to do anything with anyhow. So I don't see any reason why we would want to do this.
I mean, if we were to do this, I would want somebody to do a wetland delineation to see what, if anything, we could do on it before we agreed to do it. And I'm guessing it's, and Carissa maybe can answer this question. I'm guessing that there isn't a need for any kind of detention or retention on that piece of property. I don't believe it's in a floodplain, but I'm sure it's not, well, I'm not sure of anything. But that would also shrink the amount of space that the owner would have to put stuff on there. So
Couldn't we, Bruce, can't we require that that entire wetland just be deemed a conservancy?
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example. There were 3 or 4 lots on Saunders, I think just south of here, that the former mayor developed into a subdivision, and each of those lots has a very small buildable pad. The back of the lots is all subject to a declaration of restrictions. And we didn't require that it be a conservancy, but the nature of the restrictions essentially say things like you can't put any improvement back there. Maybe you can put a raised wooden pathway is about the most you can do. Any kind of use of it has to be passive. No structures of any kind back there, nothing that impedes the flow of it. You can't cut it, you can't, it's basically, all those restrictions are there without calling it a conservancy. So whether the property owner wanted to go further and encumber it in such a way that it could claim some tax advantage is up to the property owner. All we did was mirror the restrictions that govern wetlands.
The conservancy would provide them with some of those benefits if they wanted to avail themselves of those benefits, and it would provide the village with the same protection as the covenants would. So it's kind of like a win-win for everyone, right?
The difference is that we have the right to require the restrictions that are embedded in the covenant. Requiring a grant of a conservancy could be, deemed like a compulsory taking. So if they want to encumber the property themselves to take advantage of tax things, there's different programs and different organizations they could go to. From the village's standpoint, all we had to really concern ourselves with is making sure that they respect what's there and not violate those conditions. I think we had a requirement for stakes to outline where the wetland was so that their landscapers would know, that kind of thing.
And maybe if this developer decides to come forward and request building permits, I'd like to poll the board just to make sure that the board would not be of a mind to accept a donation, a land donation. Is that correct? I mean, you can, if that's correct, raise your hand.
wait, so I think it's a double negative. I'm not sure what you said.
Oh, okay, all right, all right. Let me try again. If you agree, would the board agree to accept a donation? If your answer is yes, raise your hand. Accept a donation of land. Okay, if you would not agree, if you do not want a donation of land, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. Bring your hands up. Did you have, Trustee Hollander, would you like to make a comment?
I must be missing something here. It seems to me if someone wants to give us some land where we could have more control over it than someone else owning it, it doesn't cost us any money that anyone's been able to come up with. I don't understand why we would not accept it. I don't know what'll happen 5 years from now, but it seems better to be in our hands than someone else's hands if we don't have to maintain it. And if the expert says, leave it be, why not take it? I'm sure I am missing something here. And I understand Trustee Haber's idea that someone may fall off a tree and we may be sued, but I can't use that as an excuse not to accept something someone wants to give us.
But that's
I
just
must be missing
one-
something.
That's just one example. I mean, I think we don't know what the future holds. We have no idea what may occur in the future. And 3 years from now, maybe the property floods and now there's something that has to be done to alleviate the water. And all of a sudden it's our responsibility as opposed to those homeowners, and the water is right up to their back doors. And they're saying you're not taking care of your wetland area. You know, there's any number of things that could happen. It's not as simple as someone wants to give us something
Okay.
and, you know, it doesn't cost us anything, let's just take it.
That makes sense. And that's what I was looking for, because it just, on the face of it, it didn't seem right, but I understand better now. Thank
Well,
you.
Trustee Eastman, I saw your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
No, that was just in reaction to the polling.
The double negative, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
uh,
Trustee Jamerson, please.
I would just like to add that, you know, because it's a wetland, it's already restricted by what can and can't be done. There's buffer zones and everything else. And so it's not like a piece of property that someone's going to donate to us that could end up with something we don't want on it. This is already a piece of property that nothing much can be done with it other than what it is. And to Trustee Haber's point, I see nothing but possible issues with it. So that, I mean, that's all I have to say.
Okay, we'll use that guidance if the developer chooses to come forward and request a building permit.
No problem. I will go forward with that. If he asks, I'll let him know. And that's all I got for tonight.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consultant's report, the attorney's report, please.
I just want to remind the board that at the next meeting, we'll need a quorum for sure because we need to pass the appropriation ordinance. We'll try and have a draft of that ready before then. We've published, so there'll be like like we normally have a brief 5-minute hearing before the regular board meeting on the subject of the appropriations ordinance. And that's all I have. Thornton's, they're working on plans. I guess I could mention just briefly, they're getting their final submittal into Lake County, revising some of their engineering drawings. And I don't know if I recall mentioning this, but we discovered a small sort of offset or glitch in the way that the entrances were lining up, and they've corrected that now. They're resubmitting some drawings. So this will smooth the way for that full intersection where CubeSmart is right now. But that's where we are with them. They're in the process of drawing up their final engineering. That's all I have.
Any questions for the village attorney? Okay, moving on, village engineers report.
Good evening. Yeah, just to piggyback off of Bruce's, we did get a letter from the county approving the revised geometry. So that gives Thornton the go ahead to update. They were concerned that they didn't want the county to come back to say they have to resubmit for review. So that hopefully eliminates one roadblock. With that, operations wise, we've had our staff out there doing some meter inventory, trying to figure out how many meters we have left and how many meters we can start returning. So we're in the process of doing that. And then also going through and starting to implement the usage for the utility bills. I know that Jean was there discussing that from our office, and Mike Grinnell will be back tomorrow from vacation. And I think that's the first thing he's kind of hitting the ground and running with. So on the operations side, meters are going. It's still a handful, but overall, we're doing our best to get it all wrapped up.
Are there any questions right now for our village engineer? Okay, moving on. Village ecologist with us. Plan Commission, Chairman Brykhoff, do you have anything for us this evening?
The only thing I have is that the Plan Commission is not meeting in March.
The round of applause from the.
If I could just add one comment to that, Mayor.
Absolutely.
We thought we might be meeting on a proposed distribution center. We've gotten some information of the traffic volumes, and we're digesting it. We have the developer's traffic consultant gave us some traffic information, and the mayor and I were talking about maybe trying to summarize that information a little bit better for the board at the next meeting. Because it's got some traffic movements and counts and gives us an ability to kind of think about the impact of this earlier in the process rather than later. So we'll get back to you with that. The developer wanted to present some of its ideas to the Plan Commission, wasn't ready for March, so is thinking the April meeting.
Are there any questions? Okay, moving on, Zoning Board of Appeals, Chairman Graditor.
Yeah, actually, nothing is going on. We've had no requests for appeals of any kind. And we haven't met in a while, and we won't until we need to.
Again, I think I hear a round of applause. So
Another one.
another one. Thank you very much. Police report, Chief.
The police activity is in the board packet. Of note, on February 25th in the evening, at around 7 in the evening, we responded to a residence in the 600 block of Thorngate for report of an attempted residential burglary that had just occurred. Further investigation, we did find through some video that there were two suspects dressed in dark clothing and hoods, wearing backpacks, attempted to get entry to the residence by breaking a rear window. They fled on foot. We did track them in the snow. The snow had just fallen to where they were picked up by a vehicle. So we are actively investigating that. But we don't believe entry was gained. The window was just broken, and they did not go in. Additionally, I did want to talk about for a moment that the mayor and I have been speaking about buying our fuel locally, taking the business locally instead of to Speedway on Milwaukee in unincorporated Lake County. So I was talking to Anil Abbott, and Mobile is considerably more than Speedway, but there's a couple of reasons why I'm planning on making the change to buy at Mobile. One of which, of course, is that we'd be taking our business local. You could share the screen for a moment there.
Absolutely, one moment. Yep.
Let's see here. Okay, that's not what I wanted. So basically, I picked a couple of random dates to compare the prices between Speedway and Mobile. And because it varies daily, as everybody knows who buys gas here, which I think is everybody. And on January 3rd, the pump price, for instance, at Mobile for regular gas was $3.59. And at Speedway, it was $3.16. Now, at Speedway, we do get a 5% fleet discount. So our price at that date really would have been $3.11. Mobile we can get a 3% or a 3-cent per gallon discount from Mobile through their fleet program. And then Anil Abbott is going to give us another 4% or 4 cent per gallon discount for a total of 7 cents. And additionally, we recover 2 cents through our tax per gallon. So that really brings them a little closer here. So the actual cost for us on January 3rd would have been, if we were at Speedway, would have been $3.50 compared to $3.11 at Speedway. And that would basically amount to a difference after 12 months based on our 800 per gallon per month average. After a year, it would actually cost us another $3,744 at Speedway. I mean, at going to Mobile. And then the other day I did it again, February 28th, and did the same thing with the pricing. And then it was a little closer, or it was a little further, it was a little closer together, $3.79 versus $3.99. And at that rate, it would have been, after 12 months, it would have cost us an additional $1,536 to go to Mobile rather than Speedway. So my guess is it would be somewhere between $1,500 and $3,700 after 12 months that we'd be paying additionally to go to Mobile instead of Speedway. But Mobil does sell, as you can see in my notes here, top tier gas, which I wasn't too familiar with, but it has detergents and friction reducers and corrosion inhibitors, which from what my research has found, it may extend the engine life and could result in getting 2 to 4% more miles per gallon. Speedway is not top tier gas. So from everything I've read, it could lead to less repairs for our squad cars, which would be a savings right there. And some of the experts that I was reading on different websites, AAA and others, did say that they all seem to agree that top tier gas is worth the extra cost. So being that the mayor did want, and I did discuss, she wanted to try and keep our business local. So it seemed like it's not going to cost us that much more. And we may even save money in the long run if we have fewer car repairs. And
Okay.
that's all I have.
All right. How do we stop sharing? Do you
I
do
can
it?
stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
No, I can't.
You can?
I should be able to. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay.
okay. All right, trustee Hollander.
Yeah, just for information, I asked Thornton's during one of our meetings if they were part of the top tier program, and they were not. They pled ignorance, but I don't believe that that's true. But they said they weren't part of their program. I have no idea where their gas pricing is, but if we're looking to do it local at some point in the future, and I think that's a good idea, I would certainly look at their pricing as well as Mobil when the time comes.
Sure. Trustee Jamerson, please.
I agree 100% with going to the mobile station. I think for the small amount of money that we're going to pay extra, that Bruce's comment about the top tier gas is spot on. It is a big deal. And although we don't keep our squad cars probably as long as people keep their personal cars just because of the usage that they get, I do think it probably will help. The gas mileage will probably go up, and it's the less wear and tear on the engine. So I'm all for it.
Are there any other questions or comments? I think the chief is to be congratulated on the research and really, digging into it so that we can do this with a clear path and know that we've looked at the financial alternatives. So are there any other questions for the chief at this point? Okay, moving on from information and comments from the president. The first item I have here is discussion regarding the development of a village administrator and manager position. I am not ready to discuss this at any greater length with the board. I think that this takes a little bit more research, quite honestly. And when I say research, I'm going to avail myself of the opportunity to talk with village managers and in other villages to see exactly what they do and what we really need to have done here. We are not a big organization, but we do have some complexities. And we do have 2 buildings and we have properties and all those kinds of other things. So there needs to be a little bit more, I think, coordination and management. I know we need more staff, and that's for certain. But excuse me, but I'm not completely confident coming to the board with any suggestions about what kind of staff we might need at this point. There's some decisions to be made internally as well. So as much as I would love to talk to you about this, I don't think that I'm ready to talk to you about this. If I'm not going to be able to give you any clear pathways or alternatives or anything to react to, I don't know that it's a good use of your time as decision makers. So having said that, are there any comments on that? Second item is cleanup day. May 14. We have been talking to Rich Kumjian about having the plant sale and cleanup day on the same day. And May 14th looks to be that day. Trying to resurrect cleanup day. And Katie Bound and I are going to be meeting tomorrow to talk about details and how we might go about it. I think those of you older, longer term residents might remember people grabbing, getting together in the morning, coffee at somebody's house and donuts, grabbing bags and going out and picking up trash on the roadways. The vests and, then congregating at Village Hall, bringing all our trash to Village Hall and congregating at Village Hall and just, congratulating each other and bragging rights for the weirdest piece of trash picked up on the road. Just trying to get another community event on the books. And I think with the plant sale, I think that's an excellent time to bring people together. So you'll hear more about that in the coming days. But I think we need a spring event. We had a fall event and just trying to get things going again after the pandemic, having people coming out. Trustee Eastman, please.
Yeah, I'd say just let me know how I can help with that, because I think that's a good idea. And, being responsible for the woodlands, I definitely want to be involved with that. So let me know how to get that organized and work to get it going.
Writing your name down, sir.
Please
Trustee
do.
Haber.
Yeah, in the past, I've been able to secure the bags for the cleanup day from a client. So if you let me know what you think you need, I can generally, push the client to send over some cases.
Terrific, terrific. Trustee Jamerson.
I will say that in the last couple of years that it was being done, the RPC was pretty much the driving force of that. And one of the things about the bags is that we ended up getting biodegradable bags, so that the trash that we were picking up didn't sit buried in the landfill forever. So I don't know if your client can get biodegradable bags, but I still have some in my garage, which I'm more than happy to send over. I also have all the vests that the RPC bought for the safety vests. So I'll be happy to turn those over. I think I'm out of town that weekend. So, but
Come on, really?
sorry.
Rich Kumjian, would you like to make a comment, please?
I only wanted to make a comment that when you and I met, I was a representative of the Riverwoods Preservation Council, not representing myself, but representing the organization.
Oh, sorry.
We are enthusiastically working with you in the village to sponsor this plant sale cleanup day.
So it'll be a good partnership. Is that agreed?
Yes, yes, indeed.
So we're looking forward to this. We're looking forward to this. Instead of, the traditional grilling out, I think we're going to go with food trucks. Makes life a whole lot easier. They pull up, they've got food, they pull out. Trustee Dickon.
Yeah, cleanup day is a great volunteer opportunity, and I wanted to make a suggestion that we reach out to the high schools and colleges that sometimes ask us for donations. College and high school students actually get credit for volunteering, so this would be a nice reciprocal partnership, possibly.
Well, I hope we've got enough high school students in Riverwoods that we can drag into it too. Actually, it did start with Jack McCardle's son. And he wanted to get involved in that, and he and Jack McCardle ran it for a number of years, and that was back in that was 70s or maybe even earlier than that. So that's where it started, with younger people.
Yeah, so I raised my hand to reach out to Deerfield and Stevenson High School, saying that we've got something going on, and the kids could take advantage of this and actually get school credit for this. And I think
I'm writing that down
it's a good way to encourage the community, and maybe this is something we could still squeeze into the Village Voice.
Well, there'll be one more Village Voice, I think, before we do it, but I'm writing that down too. So when Katie and I get together, we've got a lot of information and a lot of volunteer stuff, which is great. And we'll get back to Rich so that we make sure we coordinate everything. Visitors wishing to address the board. Did we have any visitors emailing in? Oh, Katie, did you see any?
No, there have been no requests.
Okay, we have some visitors with us tonight. Is there anyone else who's here tonight that wishes to make a comment to the board? Okay, hearing none and seeing none, let's move on to new business. I did put the approval of a donation to the Deerfield Parents Network on the docket as opposed to just using my mayoral authority, because I believe there was some discussion about it last time. Our last donation to this, if memory serves, was $500. Do I hear a motion to approve a donation to the Deerfield Parents Network at prom after party? Trustee
moved.
Haber, is
So moved.
Second.
there any discussion or comment? Trustee Clayton?
I feel a little bit like the Grinch here, and generally I'm in favor of making this donation. However, the last time we discussed this, there were a couple things that cropped up. One was that there was a cash balance that they were continuing to hold, and there was no indicated use for the money, number one. And so why an additional contribution was needed was a question. Second of all, at some point or another, our contribution, relatively speaking to the other communities, seemed way out of whack. We were contributing much more than Highland Park and Deerfield, I think. But so I personally would like to have a financial statement. I mean, something more.
Okay.
We have a process. You know, there's a contribution committee, which I think is the same as the finance committee, or at least it has been. There's certain data that's supposed to be provided to the board to make this decision. And I personally would like to go honor our policy and go through the process.
Okay, point well taken. Would you like to withdraw the motion or shall we vote?
I'm happy to withdraw the motion.
I'll withdraw the second.
Okay, I'll report back to the board with that information the next time. Okay, next item of business is a resolution authorizing a transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund. Trustee Clayton, please.
Well, we've passed the fund balance policy, and this is just the execution of that policy. Generally speaking, everything is in balance with the policy except the difference between the general fund and the capital fund. I think the numbers are in the packet. You can see that the capital fund, according to the policy, is about 2.4 million over our requirement, and the capital fund is based on the criteria that we established for that is about $1.8 million below the target. And so I would like to make the transfer from the general fund to the capital fund. And in order to do that, then we need a resolution. We need approval by the board.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none and hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Haber,
Aye.
trustee Hollander,
Aye.
trustee Jamerson,
Aye.
trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickon,
Aye.
trustee Eastman.
Aye.
Resolution approved.
We have no old business, so we'll move on to the committee reports.
Is there a resolution number? I'm sorry.
Oh, 220305.
Thank you.
Committee reports, please. Trustee Haber, Legal and Police.
We had a second meeting regarding the police contract. We continue to make progress, albeit slow. And we have a meeting coming up on March 7th to hopefully make more progress, although I bet it'll be slow then as well. But that's what's going on. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for Trustee Haber?
Well, will opening day be on time? That's.
I think it will be. I think it will be.
One way or another, we'll be out there.
Okay, moving on. Trustee Dickon, communications, please.
Mute.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, very briefly, the village ecologist and I had met 2 weeks ago to review all the existing woodlands related permit applications. There's some conflicting content on them. Some things were dated. So, the goal was to kind of clean them up. And it was my intention to have all of those converted to fillable online applications that would be submittable through the website. But unfortunately, with the war breaking out in my homeland, my priorities have shifted. That's all I've got. So as far as when we're gonna, I don't have a delivery date on those, so I'm hoping by the end of the month.
Trustee Dickon, given everything that's gone on and how much you've done already, I think we do have some space here to just stand back for a while and let things evolve and see what works and see what doesn't. And if we get complaints, we'll put them on the list. But your situation is really more important right now.
I appreciate it.
Are there any questions for Trustee Dickon? Okay, moving on. Trustee Jamerson, Building, Utilities, and Stormwater.
The building report is in the back of the packet. The good news is that we are up considerably over last year, and we're up over 2020 as well. I don't have the figures from 2019, but I'm guessing we're probably on par with that. We've had almost $2 million worth of value in construction permits in the first 2 months, and we're at about $27,000 in permit fees, which is double what it was in 2020. And that was before COVID really hit. So I think we're back on track in the building department. And, if the other things that we have happening in the village happen, we're going to be way over our budgeted revenue. So we'll probably be over our budgeted expenses too, but that's the way that works. The stormwater, as far as stormwater is concerned, Carissa has reached out to me to get the band back together. We never really got the band together when we started the commission, and then things happened, sadly, so we're going to try and work on getting together and seeing where we are and what we need to do to get back in gear. As an aside, we have a stormwater email box, which has received a total of 1 email since we created it about 9 months ago. And that was just an inquiry, offering some assistance. But we also have had a year where we haven't had a whole lot of rain. We haven't had any flooding last year, thankfully, knock on wood.
Really?
That's where that stands. I'll keep you posted on that. So that's all I have.
Hey, may I pile on with just a note that the Water Infrastructure Committee has met, and we are developing some options to bring to the board. That is moving forward, and Trustee Jamerson is certainly a part of that. So we're hopeful to bring something. We've got another meeting scheduled. Hopefully we're targeting next week for a meeting. So we'll be moving forward on that for sure.
Thank you for adding that, Mayor.
Well, you're doing more than just one thing, so I think. Okay. Trustee Hollander, Land Use and Roads, please.
No report.
Trustee Clayton, do you have anything else?
No report.
There's no reason to go into executive session. Are there any general comments from the board? Anything we missed? Anything you'd like brought up? Anything you'd like us to look into in the between meetings here? Okay, well, we're closing in on in-person. And Trustee Jamerson is very involved in making sure our audio, at least, and hopefully visual is all ready for that. I don't know if we're going to be ready for hybrid or not. So just keep posted. We'll keep you posted. But as of this date, I can say that I think we should be expecting to meet in person in Village Hall on March 15th, the Ides of March. So,
You mentioned the Open Meetings Act.
oh, good point, good point. Thank you, thank you. You know, we are in the same room, so I do need to mention that the chief and our deputy clerk will be our Open Meetings Act designees for the village as required by the Open Meetings Act. So questions on open meetings, the chief or our deputy clerk, Katie Baum. And we'll make sure that gets in the minutes. So if there are no other questions, oh, trustee Clayton, please.
Are we continuing the mask mandate at Village Hall?
We have not. We have not continued the mask mandate at Village Hall. But then we rarely see anyone. We have not. So that would be an issue when we meet in person. But I think that I don't know that we're getting any guidance from that. And correct me if I'm wrong, please, Attorney Hugard. I don't think we're getting any guidance on the mask for municipal buildings or public meetings.
Well, there's no requirement. It's the governor's last communication was that it's leaving it up to, individual units of government. The municipalities can decide what they want to do. But there's no statewide mandate.
We will be spacing. You can be sure of that. We've got the elbow room, so we're going to use it. And with any luck, the weather will cooperate and we can open some windows. So we will keep in touch with you on that. And if you have any comments on that, please let me know individually and directly. If there's nothing more, thank you, Phil. If there's nothing more, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
No discussion, I'm sure. Roll call, please.
Trustee Clayton,
Aye.
trustee Dickon,
Aye.
trustee Eastman,
Aye.
trustee Haber,
Aye.
trustee Hollander, trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Okay, and we stand adjourned. Thank you very much. Everybody be
Time,
well.
everybody.
Thank you.
Wow. In spite of having a few discussions, you got us out of